Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I want to send a quick thank you to everybody who subscribed to my channel. So let's start where we left off. A lot has happened since my first video, so I want to catch everyone up, and I will catch you up on everything. So I will go over everything. There will be several videos coming to catch you up to the current events. So let's go. As a recap, I want to remind you that we will always be changing and modifying goals based on where we are. The goal is to be approved for the gastric sleeve and to get the gastric sleeve surgery. Yes, that is a weight loss surgery, and I will go into more detail about what that is, how it's done, and things like that later. But right now, what we want to do is we want to start with the next step that occurs as far as getting to that point. I also want to remind you in this recap that I have the lap band, and what I need to do is get that removed because I am having some issues with it, and go to a better solution, which between my doctor and I, we decided is the gastric sleeve. So you may ask me, well, is the lap band not good? Yes, the lap band is a great tool. And I mean, of course, I lost 100 pounds with it. As a reminder, since 2020 happened, I have gained some of that weight back. To get the gastric sleeve surgery, I need to get the lap band removed. The lap band was also a weight loss surgery, and you may ask, well, why do you want it removed? I'm having some side effects of it. Between my doctor and I, we decided that the lap band should be removed if the insurance will cover it, and that we should get the gastric sleeve. So there's a lot that goes on with getting the gastric sleeve, and I will definitely go over that in detail a little bit later. But right now, what we want to do is we want to just move on to the next step. I'm going to do some lap band videos, and in those videos, I'm going to tell you what went wrong with me and why it went wrong and how you could possibly avoid having those same issues if you decide to go with the lap band. First thing that we have to do in order to get approved for the lap band removal is to show the insurance that the lap band is causing some issues with me. So to do that, we need to inspect the inside. So that calls for a procedure called an EGD. That EGD stands for esophageal-gastroduodenoscopy. That is an EGD, and we're just going to go ahead and call it EGD because that is a very difficult thing to say very fast. So esophageal means the esophagus, the gastro part means stomach, duodenoscopy means duodenum, which is the first couple of inches of the small intestines. So when you're getting an EGD, you should not eat or drink anything after midnight. You should have someone bring you to the locations, and that person or someone should be available to drive you back home because you're not going to be able to drive after this procedure. It is a simple outpatient procedure, but it still involves anesthesia, and you cannot drive home afterwards. Most hospitals, to my knowledge, probably all of them will not allow you to Uber or anything like that. Now, maybe that's different where you live. I don't know, but I've never been to a hospital that will allow you to Uber after a procedure. You have to have some type of designated person to actually take you home. My EGD was done at Piedmont Hospital in Macon, Georgia, by my bariatric surgeon, Dr. Vito Magnato. He is a very skilled surgeon, been in the game for a while. If you are having some type of surgery, bariatric or any, it's very important that you research the surgeon's background and their skill level, and that you're comfortable with who you are seeing. So I arrived at the hospital. I went to registration. I gave them my information. I paid my portion and basically received my wristband. You know, it's that band that goes on your wrist that will tell everybody who you are, your birthday, and things like that. And one thing I want to remind you, when you're going into any type of procedure, more than likely you're going to be asked several times your name, your birth date, and the procedure you're there for. You might even be asked the name of your surgeon or the person who's responsible for the procedure. So that is a very good thing. Don't think that, oh, these people, they keep asking me my name and my information. They don't know what's going on. Yes, they know what's going on. They want to make sure that, first of all, they have the right person. Okay. Second of all, they have the right procedure for you. And third, that you know what's going on so that they understand that you're cognizant of what's about to happen. So it's very important to just be patient with that. It's basically a protocol that they use now to make sure that mistakes are kept to a minimum. So they then took me to my room, and I had a private room. If there's any chance that you could be pregnant, they would do a urinalysis. It's very important that they know that, because once again, safety is very important. In this hospital, I had a private room. You may go to a hospital or a location where it's not a private room. Maybe there are several beds with curtains separating the beds, and there's not a lot of privacy because you can hear people, across the way. However, in my situation, I had a private room, which was a great thing. And my sister-in-law was able to be with me the whole time. Well, except for when I went into the procedure, of course. But she was with me most of the time. Let's just say that. They gave me a gown and basically told me to take everything off and put the gown on so it's open from the back. I was very impressed because they had a gown that could fit me. Well, that was it was big. It was a big gown. And I was very impressed because usually I'm pulling and tugging at these gowns that they have, but it was a very, let's just say my doctor is a bariatric doctor, so of course they have what is needed for bariatric patients, and bariatric patients are bigger. So yeah, they had gowns that could fit, and I was like, wow, okay, okay, I don't know how to act with this, but that's great. That's great. They will more than likely make you remove any metals such as piercings, anything that's in the hair. If you can just not wear those things, it'll be a little bit more convenient for you. I've heard that some hospitals will just cover the piercings and things like that, but this particular hospital asked you to remove them. I think on the information I got, they asked me not to wear any, if at all possible, and I didn't wear any, so it was okay. Just to let you know, you will have to remove them in most cases. Okay, so once I was settled, they took my blood pressure, temperature, things like that, your typical vital signs. They hooked me up to the monitors, and the nurse came in, verified some information, asked me about allergies, medications, things like that. Your typical thing that you would expect to happen. And then I was ready for the IV. So the nurse that did the IV, she was very good. She was very gentle. It was a very positive experience. And let me tell you, when I was in the medical field, I did not like doing IVs, and I don't like IVs being done on me. So it's one of those things that is just not fun. But this particular nurse that I had that time, she was very good, very quick, and everything was done without a lot of pain. So it was very positive. And then the anesthesiologist came in, talked to me about what they were going to do. They asked me questions. They asked me how much alcohol do I drink. That was an interesting question. And then I found out later on, after researching, that when people have these bariatric surgeries, that they can transfer certain habits and addictions to alcohol, that there's an increased risk of that. And I thought that was very interesting. After the IV, it did not take long for them to come in and roll me into the OR. They just took the whole bed and just pushed me in there. But the nurses, I assume they were nurses. They may have been, they could have been PAs, they could have been they could have been doctors as well. I didn't get a chance to talk to them beforehand, but they asked me, you know, what type of symptoms I was having and things like that. I think that's a good thing simply because sometimes when you have a procedure, the doctor, you know, may need to be refreshed on the type of things that they're looking for. So I think that that was a good thing that they asked me. And so the reason why I say that is because, well, let me get to these next steps and then I'll tell you. They had me to turn to one side to, like, you know, just go to one side. And I guess that's so the tube can go down better. Then they put a mask on me and they told me just take some deep breaths and they'll see me when it's all over. And basically I felt this little tingling at the top of my brain. I was like, what is that? I felt this little tingling of, you know, the gas. The gas was, yeah. And basically I was out. The next thing I know, I was waking up and they were talking to me and they was like, hey, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? You know, and they said the procedure's over. And you're right, because I had told them when they asked me about the symptoms, I told them, you know, sometimes things get stuck right there and it seems like it's stuck and it won't go down and it seems like it's irritated and inflamed in there. And when I woke up, they were about to roll me out. So they woke me up before I actually left the OR. They rolled me out. And as I was rolling out, they said, you know, you were right about things getting stuck because there was a pill stuck at the bottom of your esophagus. And I was like, oh, I know. I remember saying that. I don't know why I said that, but I said, I know. And they rolled me back into my private room. My sister-in-law was there waiting for me. I was kind of in and out for a few minutes, and then I woke up because I woke up rather quickly. The doctor came in and talked to me. He said my esophagus is inflamed, is irritated. The main thing that he said to me is that I was over-restricted as far as the lap band is concerned. I will explain more about that in future videos when I talk about the lap band. But basically the lap band is either tight or loose, and they can tighten it up a little bit more and loosen it up so more or less food can go down. So the doctor told me that basically I was over restricted and that was causing things to get stuck. And there was a pill that was stuck there. And I said, wow, because I took that over 12 hours ago. And he was a little surprised that I took that over 12 hours ago and it was still lodged in there. So he said, yeah, we're going to send this report about your irritation and inflammation and everything about the lap band. And he took out all of the fluid for the lap band. That means that it's almost like I don't have a lap band. It's still around my stomach, the top portion of my stomach, but it's almost like it's not there. I'm not restricted at all. His main thing is telling me that I should be very careful not to gain any weight. And I said to him, yeah, I plan on just taking this opportunity to continue to lose weight and, you know, get ready for the surgery, the gastric sleeve. And he said, okay, that sounds like a plan. It was a plan. It was a plan. That we'll talk more about it later, okay? But so that's what happened. He made a report. He sent it off to my insurance. So now we're playing the waiting game, waiting for the insurance to approve the lap band to be removed, and then we can move on with the gastric sleeve surgery. So overall, the EGD was a very simple procedure. There are things you have to do to follow the protocol in order to get the procedure. All in all, it took about 2 to 2.5 hours for everything from start to finish, from me getting there to leaving. The procedure itself took about 30 minutes. Now, for those people who do not have the lap band, you still may be required by your bariatric surgeon to get an EGD. So this is also something that you will probably have to get simply because you need to know what's going on in there. You need to know if there are any issues, any problems, any hernias, any infections, anything like that. Because you don't want to go in and start cutting and start doing things like that and you don't know what's going on in there in the first place. So I do believe that most bariatric surgeons require or at least recommend strongly getting an EGD so they'll have a better idea of what they're dealing with when they get in there. Now, that's not to say that if your surgeon does not require it, that he or she is not a good surgeon. It just means that most will require it because it's just a good thing to know what's going on. But if you don't have any symptoms of anything, you may not have to have it. Who knows? That gets us through the first step, and it takes us through now getting to the lap band and the things that are happening with the lap band, what the lap band is about, and that's what we're going to go to in the next video. So please subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please share this video. Just hit the share button. There's a share button underneath, and send it to a lot of people. Send it to everybody you know. I would love for people to come. I would love to get more subscribers. I have some very positive things that's happening, some very good outcomes that's happening, and I will be back really soon. It won't be long this time. I will be back really soon with the next video, and I'll see you then. Thank you for joining me.